Good morning, boys and girls. With Sunday being Independence Day, 4th of July, I wanted to do something a little different today and share with you about two very famous men in America that were instrumental in the Declaration of Independence and helping us declare our independence. First, I want to read to you about Ben Franklin, and then we're going to read a little bit about Thomas Jefferson. We have both of these books in our library. Now, where I'm picking up in this book, Ben Franklin's wife had died. He had been in England, and he found out that she had died, so he came home. Ben reached Philadelphia on May 5th, 1775. The very next morning, he was asked to serve in the Continental Congress. This was a meeting of American leaders. It opened in Philadelphia on May 10th. Its main job was to win the war against England. At age 69, Franklin worked 12-hour days in Congress. One of his jobs was to organize the United States Postal Service, our post office. He soon had mail moving swiftly among all 13 colonies. This was crucial. To win the war, people throughout America had to work together. Another job didn't go as well. In the spring of 1776, Ben was sent to Canada with 3 other men. They tried to convince the Canadians to fight on America's side. Their efforts failed. Worse still, Ben nearly died from the cold and the strain of the trip. But he made it back to Philadelphia in time to take part in the great question of the day. Should America declare its independence from England? The American people were divided. Many thought the war would end quickly and the tax trouble would be solved. Then America could return to English rule. But just as many Americans wanted to break free of England and form a new country. American leaders were also divided. Ben Franklin was a leader of the congressmen who wanted to create a new nation. He had seen how England had treated the United States. Congress was to vote on the issue in July of 1776. If the vote came out for independence, America would need to explain exactly why it was breaking away from England. Congress asked 5 men to write a Declaration of Independence. Benjamin Franklin was one. Thomas Jefferson of Virginia was another. Thomas Jefferson did most of the writing, but Ben made a few changes. For example, Jefferson wrote, "We hold these truths to be sacred and undeniable." Ben improved it to, "We hold these truths to be self-evident." This was a simpler way to say some things that were plain to see. Congress voted on July 2nd. With a little arm twisting by Ben, the vote came out strongly for independence. The 13 colonies were now the United States of America. Congress approved the Declaration 2 days later. Ever since, Americans have honored that day, July 4th, 1776, as our country's birthday. Now, I want to share you a little bit about Thomas Jefferson's story. And you'll hear parts of it that sound the same because they were both working together. In 1775, the tall, red-headed Virginian Thomas Jefferson had taken his seat in Congress. Although he rarely said a word, everyone knew he had a way with a pen. He was asked to write some of Congress' official documents. Over the next year, Congress couldn't decide what to do. Some delegates didn't want to cut all ties with Britain. The war that had begun in Massachusetts would soon end, they hoped. Then America could return to British rule. Other delegates, including Thomas Jefferson, that we just read about, wanted to create a new independent nation. As war continued, more and more delegates favored independence. On June 7th, 1776, Richard Henry Lee of Virginia arose in Congress. "Declare America independent," he urged. Congress was to vote on the proposal early in July. A majority of the colonies, 7 out of 13, would have to favor independence. What if the vote came out for independence? The Congress would need to tell the whole world why it was separating from England. Some of its members were asked to write the Declaration of Independence. Benjamin Franklin of Pennsylvania, John Adams of Massachusetts, Roger Sherman of Connecticut, Robert Livingston of New York, and Thomas Jefferson of Virginia. Instead of working as a group, the committee decided that one of them should write the Declaration. Franklin, a world-famous scientist and statesman, seemed like the man for the job. But Ben was 70 years old and he was not well. Finally, the choice came down to Jefferson or Adams. It was a difficult time for Thomas Jefferson. In early 1776, he had been away from Congress, during which time his mother had died. Afterward, Jefferson developed a painful migraine headache that lasted for 6 weeks. He did not return to Congress until the middle of May. So on the June day that he talked with John Adams, he was not yet in a writing mood. Adams later recalled how each of them tried to talk the others into writing the Declaration of Independence. "You ought to do it," said Jefferson, who at 33 was 7 years younger than Adams. "I will not," replied John Adams. Why, Jefferson wanted to know. "Reasons enough," said Adams. "What can be your reasons?" Thomas persisted. First, explained Adams, a Massachusetts man shouldn't write the Declaration of Independence. Massachusetts had been the site of the Boston Tea Party and the war's first battle. Now, other colonies should get more involved. Second, the other delegates liked Thomas Jefferson more than John Adams. A declaration written by Jefferson would be better received than one written by Adams. "Reason third," said John Adams, "you can write 10 times better than I can." The praise for his writing did the trick. "Well," said Thomas Jefferson, "if you are decided, I will do as well as I can." So Jefferson sat down in his second-floor apartment in the corner of Philadelphia's Market and 7th Streets. He set up his portable desk, took out paper, pen, and ink, and he began. "When in the course of human events," he began, "it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another." And as his pen moved, he became more inspired. A few lines of the Declaration came into stirring words. "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." Later, he described how England had been mistreating America. He finished with a moving sentence. "And for the support of this declaration," he concluded, "we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor." The delegates voted, Congress voted, and approved it on July 4th. Copies of the Declaration went out to the new 13 states. No more colonies, 13 states. Americans loved the paper and proclaimed their country's birth. The 4th of July is honored as the country's birthday to this day. But did the writing of the Declaration of Independence bring Thomas Jefferson instant fame? No. Congress wanted the Declaration to be an expression of the American mind, as Jefferson put it. No author was named on the document. Until 1784, when a newspaper mentioned it, very few people knew that Thomas Jefferson had written the country's birth certificate. I want to encourage you, if you've not read some of our biographies that are from the Who Was series, they are wonderful. And if you like reading about famous people, even sports like Derek Jeter, Muhammad Ali, ladies, men, you're going to enjoy reading these biographies. We hope that you have a wonderful 4th of July, and God bless America.